I'd like for you to answer or complete the following sentence. The most important concept for successful supervision is. I hope some of you said good communication. Good communication lets us get our ideas across, helps us find out what other people have to say, and enables us to solve problems quickly and effectively. Poor communication is like crossed telephone wires, and it can make your professional life miserable and unproductive. A wise supervisor pinpoints a breakdown in communication and corrects the situation as quickly as possible. In business, we spend typically about 10% of our communication time writing, 15% reading, 35% speaking, and 40% listening. While some people seem to spend all of their time talking, this pattern holds true for most people, especially good supervisors. Supervisors must be able to give clear directions, often in great detail, and they must also learn to listen effectively in order to understand workers' ideas and complaints. In addition, they must maintain open communication channels between workers and higher managers. Since communication is such a vital key to effectiveness, supervisors must clearly understand the objectives and goals of the organization, and they must make certain that workers also understand these same goals and policies while giving specific directions for accomplishing their task. Communication is neither magical nor mystical. It's a skill that has to be developed and carefully nurtured. To sum it up, communication, when skillfully used, produces desired results, correctly and with little wasted effort. How can you make certain that good communication takes place? Experienced managers have found a relatively simple method of cutting down misunderstandings in communication. That is, to ask themselves some key questions first. Here they are. The first question is, what is the idea to be communicated? Verbalize it to yourself before you speak or write it down. Next, who is supposed to receive that idea? You might want to consider the person's biases, their level of experience or prior understanding of the topic. Next, how can I effectively communicate this message to that other person? Determine what and how you can express your ideas so as to help the person get the message you're trying to send. Next, ask yourself, how could my message undergo changes along the way? Think about the distractions that might be in the way and where misunderstandings might occur. Another question to ask is, how can I prevent any distortion? Repeating your points or rephrasing them may be one way. You need feedback to determine what the other person has actually heard. When talking about communication, we can't underestimate the importance of attitudes about ourselves and about other people. It's these attitudes that shape the ways we communicate, the ways we respond, the ways we act. In order to help us understand why we communicate as we do and why we behave differently from other people, let's examine the theory of transactional analysis. Everyone reacts to other people in one of three basic ways. Sometimes we act like a child, sometimes like a parent, and in other situations we respond as an adult. These behavior patterns don't refer to our actual roles as children, parents, or adults. Instead, they describe the psychological ego state that determines how we respond to other people. First, let's look at the child ego state. The child in each of us contains that collection of experiences and emotions stored in our brains while we were still small. These include feelings of frustration, satisfaction, inadequacy, curiosity, helplessness, imagination, anger, and joy. Because a child's reaction is governed largely by emotions, the child represents what we call the felt concept of life. The child in you is asserting itself whenever you throw a tantrum, mope, or pout, whenever you experience joy or pleasure, or suffer from feelings of inadequacy. Then there's the parent ego state. When you were a child, you watched your parents, teachers, and other adults. You learned what they considered right and wrong. their ideas of correct behavior patterns. You may also have learned that if little people didn't act appropriately, they'd be punished. All of these experiences join to form the parent, the conscience. When you were little, you assumed that all those big people were right, and so the parent in each of us embodies the taught concept of life. Your parent is the part of your mind that responds and tells you what is right and wrong, lays down the law, and lectures whenever someone strays from doing the right thing. Finally, there's the adult ego state. When you gather information and relate it to past experiences, then make a decision based on fact, your adult is acting. In this mode of behavior, you calculate risk, estimate probabilities, and make decisions based on factual information. You can easily see why the adult is usually called the thought concept of life. When you explain with sound reasons why you acted as you did, or when you suggest alternatives rather than reacting emotionally, the adult is in command. When you identify the child, parent, and adult in yourself, it becomes easier to spot those types of behavior in other people. Whether your child, parent, or adult controls situations most of the time, you will hold various life positions which guide the way you react to other people, as well as the way they react to you. Now let's look more closely at these life positions. And by the way, while we're doing this, you might think of some people you know right now who have these characteristics. The life positions can be classified in one of 4 categories which fit together like this. The first position is, I'm okay and you're okay. Anyone who's taken this life position has made a rational adult choice and is likely to be a developmental communicator. This person has gained valuable knowledge from past experiences and knows that other people also have valuable information to share. The second position is, I'm okay, but you're not okay. These people are distrustful of others. The parent is most often in command. They feel that their ideas present the best possible solution to any problem. They'll attempt to control and dominate discussion. If other people are not okay, why should they have to listen to them? The third position is, I'm not okay, but you are okay. The child has taken control in this situation, and the person responds to others as though they were parents. He or she expects to be told what to do and feels incapable of contributing anything of value to a discussion. This person is a relinquishing communicator who must seek advice but never give it. The last position is, I'm not okay and you're not okay. These negative people view themselves and other people as children. Their conversation is often sprinkled with phrases like, I can't, don't bother me, and who cares? These people are withdrawn communicators who assume nothing can be done because no one, including themselves, is competent enough to do whatever needs to be done. Once we're able to spot a parent or child reaction in ourselves and in others, we can better steer the discussion back to the adult level. For example, the supervisor who tells subordinates that they need to improve production and stop goofing off. A parental approach is likely to see anger, guilt, mistrust, or anxiety in the workers. On the other hand, the supervisor who asks his subordinates if they will work with him to solve a production problem is much more likely to experience an adult response. To help you provide additional tools for the effective communication, we have 5 C's which I hope you can consider. Whenever you have to relay information, ask yourself these 5 questions. Is it clear? Is it complete? Is it concise? Is it concrete? Finally, is it correct? If your message scores high on all of these C's, then it's much more likely that you will be successful in transplanting your idea into the mind of other people.
Even though all 3 ego states are important parts of our personality, we need them in our everyday interactions. You will find that the adult mode gets the best results at work. That doesn't mean that everyone on the job consistently interacts with you in the adult mode, unfortunately. Instead, you must be on your guard not to get trapped into a parent or child ego state by someone else who is using a parent or child mode. In the scenes you're about to see, try to identify which ego states, parent, adult, or child, are being used by each person.
What's the matter, Sandy?
I cannot get this to balance up, and I've been over it 1,000 times. Can you help me out with this?
Well, sure, Sandy. Here, just give me the ledger, and I can take care of it in a minute, I'm sure. Don't worry about it anymore.
Thank you. You're a real lifesaver.
Oh, anytime.
Lynn was using her parent ego state, complimenting the child shown by Sandy. Let's view the scene once more with Lynn modifying her approach.
What's the matter, Sandy?
I cannot get this to balance out right, and I've been over it 1,000 times. Can you help me out with this?
Well, sure. I'll tell you what. I'll stay here with you, and we'll go over it step by step.
Thank you. It won't take long, I promise. Okay, what I did was I started off with the employee benefit payments.
Okay.
And then I added them to the payroll totals.
Mm-hmm.
And then subtotal.
All right, I don't see any problems so far.
Okay, then I take the subtotals and I bring them over to the next page. Right here.
Wait a minute, Sandy. Here. Compare the columns on this page with the columns on this page.
They've been switched in order. No wonder I can't get this to balance out.
Well, sure, I'm glad you didn't force those columns. Look, I'm going to have to make a call on this. Thanks, Sandy.
Now, which of the two approaches was more effective for both the employee and the supervisor? What were the differences between the two approaches?
Come in. Sit down, Janet. Janet, I've been going over your work, and you are making mistakes.
Mistakes? In my work? Oh, no, I doubt it. I always check everything before signing off on my reports. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Another thing, I've been watching you, and I think that you're taking shortcuts. Shortcuts that are not within the approved guidelines for quality control in this lab. You're affecting our output, Janet. Now, who told you could do that? I call that careless and irresponsible.
Hey, you wait a minute. I try to put forth the best work I can in this place. You can't call me careless and irresponsible and get away with it. You have no proof.
Oh, I don't. I'd like you to take a look at this work you turned in yesterday, and I'd like you to check this result. Tell me how you could have come up with that. Lab work has got to be accurate, Janet.
Well, yeah, this is my report, but I don't understand how this could have gotten by.
Let's just be really sure in the future that it doesn't get by again, okay? Now, you better get back to work, Janet. You know, we do have production levels to maintain.
Right. Sorry.
When you're correcting someone's work, it's very difficult to maintain an adult ego state. However, if you can stay in the adult, as we say, you will be rewarded by more self-esteem and positive responsiveness from employees as well as anyone else with whom you interact. Watch now as Marvin handles Janet with the adult approach.
Come in.
Hi, Marv. You wanted to see me?
Hey, hi, Janet. Sit down.
Okay.
It's about some of these tests that came back from upstairs yesterday. Everything else checked out just fine, but there's a couple of small problems on this one. And I thought maybe we could go over them together and find out what happened so it won't happen again.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. Boy, I don't understand how this could have happened.
Well, let's try checking off the steps of your test procedures and see if it sheds some light on it. It could be we need to modify our procedures. I'm going to need your help on this one.
Sure, what can I do?
Well, go back to your bench and list all the steps that you took to arrive at these results. Then compare them with our procedures. I'm going to need your recommendations, and any interpretations of the problem you might have.
Okay.
Can you get back to me by lunch?
I sure will, as soon as I can. Thanks.
Thanks, Jan.
Okay.
As you watch this scene, identify specific things Marv did and said to indicate he was operating in the adult mode. Compare how Janet is likely to feel about her new boss after the previous scene and after the one you have just observed. By now, you have been able to determine ego states by recognizing verbal and nonverbal cues. After each of the following short clips, identify the ego states shown by the individuals and describe what clues led you to your decision.
I swear, I can't believe how little bit of power goes to the heads of some people. You know, it's almost enough to turn me off on the whole management profession.
Look, I know that sometimes it seems that there's a gang of dictators running around here, but I try not to generalize. I mean, people do things for different reasons, reasons that sometimes we're not even aware of.
You know, I just heard George is being transferred back to the home office. Can you beat that? After all of this time, he's got to pull up his roots and move 1,000 miles away from here.
Poor devil. We probably shouldn't even talk about him. He's got so many troubles, his family and his health. This could be the straw that breaks poor old George's back.
You know, you're right about, oh boy.
Janet, have you heard about the reduction in employees that's just been announced? No. What am I going to do if I get laid off? I've got low seniority, and I've still got all those bills hanging over my head from when my wife had a baby.
This stinking company's not worth working for anyway. All we ever get is one big kick in the pants after another. Nothing's ever good enough for the top brass.
Jim, I just don't know what to believe anymore. Didn't you tell me that there were to be no raises this year no matter how good a job I'd done?
That's right, Lynn. That's the policy, straight from the top.
Well, I've just heard via the grapevine that both Paul and Marvin are getting a 10% raise. Now, what is this? Raises for men only? Is that what it is?
All right now, Marvin, listen to me. I've told you before about that titration machine giving all of us shocks down there. I just had another one, bigger than all the other ones.
Come on, Sam, that thing can't hurt you. You can take it.
What do you mean, can't hurt you? No, I've had it up to here with this company's disregard for the safety of the employee. No, I'm not going back to work until that thing is fixed.
Listen, Bert, this is really getting to me. I've been a supervisor here for 5 years now, and the whole thing just seems to be getting worse. Information spreads through that rumor mill faster than I can get it through official channels.
Mary, I'm well aware of that problem, and I'm doing all I can to make it better. Now, right now, we have enough meetings to choke a horse. Isn't that enough to get you the information you need, or do you have other suggestions?
Those meetings? Oh, come on, they're just a waste of time. It seems like nothing important ever gets done in them. And then by the time I get back to my staff, I find out they know about new company policy before I know about it.
Beth, are you still working on that report? It's after 5 o'clock.
Well, I've had an awful lot of interruptions this afternoon, but that's okay. I'm going to get this report out today, even if I have to stay till 10 tonight.
Oh, well, don't be silly. Just do what you can and then finish the rest in the morning.
I don't mind. I know how important it is to you to get things cleared up by the end of the day.
Would you send Marv in now, please? Thank you. Hi, Marv.
You may not even care about this, but you kept me out there in that waiting room for 30 minutes waiting to see you. Now, I really hope that whatever it is we're going to be talking about here today is important enough to keep me off of the job for that long.
I'm sorry, Marv. Look, since you're upset, why don't we get together another time, when you're under less pressure from your work?
I can't seem to get anyone around here to make a decision. Do you think the time will ever come when a person who has the authority will also have what it takes to say yes or no without passing the buck?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'm not afraid to make a decision. Now, if anybody gives you the runaround, you come tell me, and I'll go take care of it personally.
Okay, Sandy, it looks like we have a real problem here because consistently for 3 months my department's payroll checks have been wrong, and as you can imagine, that doesn't sit real well with my staff. Let's see if we can't get to the bottom of this problem. What have you done so far?
Well, Marvin, each time it's happened, I've informed headquarters of the problem and asked them to fix it, and then I've given them the employees' names and the amounts it should have been.
Okay, and as I understand it, then they recut each new check by hand, right?
Right, but I guess they haven't gotten to the source of the problem since it continues to happen each payday.
Well, it sounds to me like data input problems. We probably need to make some changes on the master file. Who have you been talking with down there in computer operations?
John Gilmore.
Okay, I'll get to him and let you know what's to be done next.
Thanks, Marvin. I really appreciate you being so understanding about this.
Hey, don't mention it. So long as we get the problem worked out, right?